renamed to Hare Namberg. And the reason, of course, is that Srila Prabhupada visited this town in 1969. Srila Prabhupada war also die Jahre 1969, bevor nach London ging. Yeah. But matter of fact is that Hamburg is the town where Srila Prabhupada first set his foot on the European continent, even before he came to London. That was in 25th of August 1969. He arrived with Lufthansa flight at Hamburg Airport, and he was down to the small temple Eppendorfer Weg 7, where we are walking after this. So Prabhupada used to take these morning walks. Every morning he took a walk, and so did the same thing in Hamburg. At that time, his morning walks were not accompanied by many devotees yet. He would go out with one or two devotees. In this case, it was Shivananda Prabhu was here, one Uttama Sloka was here, and also Sri Chandra Das, later became Bhakti Bhushana Swami, and Oliver Hertel, later became Vasudev Das. So Prabhupada took his walks every morning. There are several parks around here. This is just one of the parks. More parks on the right-hand side. We also went to one church, Christ Church, Christuskirche. So in this park, especially, there is one pastime, which I'm going to tell you. Please follow me. About sat down, and we are going to the bench now, where he most probably did. Yeah, there are several benches. You can see there are even benches on the other side. I'm going to tell you the reason why I think it's one particular bench. Please come here, yeah?
Oh, there's an
There is a dispute on which bench, actually the bench pastime in Harinamberg happened. Some say it is on the bench on this side. However, my argument is that it was here. One reason being that the devotees came from the temple, which is further down there, and entered this way, and then walked around this pond, and so at the end of the walk, they sat down on this bench. That is one reason. Another mystical indication is in 1996, Srila Prabhupada's and disciples we did this Parikrama for the first time. On this bench, somebody had sprayed Jagannath. It was not a devotee, and he didn't spell like Jagannath, but Jagannath. Jagannath is a British impression, means something huge, something moving and very gigantic, huge, and incalculable. So the British had, of course, taken this expression from Jagannath, seeing the Jagannath chariot. He said, this is huge. So somebody had sprayed Jagannath on this bench. And since Srila Prabhupada was the one who brought the Jagannath Ratha Yatra to the West, and it was sprayed on this bench, my conviction is that Srila Prabhupada sat down on this bench. Now, all these benches have, of course, been renewed. It's not the same bench. but this is the bench where the Juggernaut led it straight. So now we are walking, so Prabhupada came this way and walked that way. So now we're going the other way, walking Srila Prabhupada's footsteps.
Yeah. So beautiful. Very beautiful. Such a green. Very beautiful. We don't hear.
Mal so für einen Monat und das war dann auch kein gutes Gefühl, wenn man die Eltern nicht anrufen kann oder so. Ja, das stimmt. Ja. Oder auch überhaupt. Obwohl es gab ja Zeiten, ne, wenn die Leute nicht mehr Telefon hatten, die haben auch überlebt. Haben alle überlebt? Telefon 18, Ende der 80er. Ja, irgendwas so 90 irgendwas sowas. 150 Jahre oder so. Da mussten sie ja so laut brüllen, dass man fast schnell so hätte machen können.
Some say that it was that bench. Yeah. Some say it was this bench. Yes, some say. We don't know exactly. Shivananda was there, you know, he came a few times, he came twice, and yeah, and actually, the bench pastimes happened twice. You go to the other bench, they tell you how it continues, the bench pastime.
Regelmäßig. Aber
His purpose was to come to London, see the devotees there, but they hadn't set up a temple yet. The Thursday temple wasn't ready yet. But they had this very small temple which was already ready. So Prabhupada went here first. He spent here 2 weeks here, celebrated Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja here in August 69, yeah. And he worked on the nectar of
die überhaupt nicht zu, vielleicht ist du auch mal zu den allen anderen dabei.
Ja, dann
müsst ihr überhaupt nichts mit.
Müsst ihr näher kommen. Got the tape recorder from Suchandra's father, from Bhakti Bhushan's father. Bhakti Bhushan, Suchandra at that time, he brought Prabhupada a tape recorder from his father. And at the same time he asked to be initiated by Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes, you can become initiated just because of the tape recorder.
Oh.
That was his first service he did for Srila Prabhupada. But Harinam initiation, your first initiation at that time. Probably came this way and came out on the other side. Now we come to the other bench. Bench pastime involves 2 benches. Because on the first bench, the first bench that we saw there on that side, Srila Prabhupada was with Shivananda only. And Shivananda was a little exhausted from the walk. So Prabhupada had a fast pace. And so Prabhupada sat down, and Shivananda kind of slouched in the bench. He sat down relaxing, and I'm going to demonstrate it.
Okay.
Because Shivananda demonstrated when we were here with Shivananda. Okay, so I'm going to impersonate Shivananda Prabhu. maybe somebody impersonates Srila Prabhupada. He is going to be Mondakini. I'm going to tell you, it's a little sketch with me. The Shivananda, after walking with Prabhupada, he was exhausted, and he slouched down on no, Shivananda. Probably not really like this, but something like this. And then Prabhupada sat down by his side and sat very straight. Yeah, he very straight. He looked at Shivananda, and Shivananda also sat down like that. So the next day, after Srila Prabhupada had returned to the temple, told this path on the next day, more devotees came on the Parikrama. And Srila Prabhupada sat down on a different bench, like this, and everybody sat like this. everybody sat like this. All the devotees sat like this. And Prabhupada looked at them. Yes, very nice. Actually, I had a personal meeting with Srila. I received one instruction from Srila Prabhupada in Amsterdam, at the Amsterdam temple. Srila Prabhupada was sitting on the Vyasasana, supervising the installation of the Jagannath Devi in Amsterdam. And I was sitting in the temple. I had been with the devotees for 3 days, so I was leaning against the temple wall, like this, and watching what was going on. So I thought this is in the book also, this installation ceremony did not go very well.
We couldn't hear you.
The installation ceremony did not go very well, and I observed Srila Prabhupada sitting on his Vyasasana. He thought he was not satisfied with the way the installation was going on, because the mantras were not chanted properly, and the altar structure even threatened to collapse. Then Prabhupada says, no, it's like this, the mantras go like this, and now the temple, the altar is falling apart. And so he was chastising the devotees, correcting the devotees, and I was watching. He did not seem to be very pleased. Prabhupada was not amused by the way things were going on. And I'd been with the devotees for only 3 days. I had read about Indian sadhus and sages in books, and the most important thing I picked up from those books was that these sadhus are always happy. They always smile. Nothing can disturb their mind. They're always mellow and smiling and satisfied. So now I was leaning against the temple wall, seeing Prabhupada had an angry face. So I had met Srila Prabhupada before in Paris, and my impression of him was so amazing. Like Mondakini was also explaining when she first saw Prabhupada in London, I saw in Paris. He seemed seemed to glow. He was not walking; he was floating over the ground. He was not climbing on the Vyasasana, he was kind of flying on his Vyasasana, and just otherworldly, so transcendental. And I had a very strong impression of Srila Prabhupada that he was a true saint. Also, we had a darshan once. I was in the darshan. He looked at me, with his big eyes, with this deep impression in his face, and I thought, this is a real mystical yogi. Now I was leaning in Amsterdam, I was leaning against the temple wall, and I saw Srila Prabhupada look to me. He was getting angry. He was not happy. He was not amused. He did not smile. He had an angry impression on his face, and I started doubting. Well, sage should always be happy. Maybe he isn't a true sage. I started doubting. So while I was sitting there, Prabhupada was sitting on the Vyasasana, It was about maybe 30 meters away. Prabhupada turned his face and looked at me. And he said, "It is an offense to sit before the deities like this." Like he pulled up his legs on the other side. It's an offense to sit before the deities like this. Sit properly. Prabhupada said, sit properly. So then I sat up properly. So this instruction to sit properly is one of the basic instructions that Srila Prabhupada gave. So he was very pleased when the devotees sat up like this. He was very happy. And later, of course, since this was the only thing that Srila Prabhupada ever said to me directly, for me it became a very important thing. For me it started meaning I should be properly situated in my life also and other things. Yeah.
This is a form of respect, right?
Yeah. Form of respect for, especially in front of the spiritual master, properly situated in the deities. I see sometimes devotees in our programs, they lean against temple walls. So whenever they do that, I think of that conversation I had with him. It seems that for a Vaishnava, this back support doesn't mean anything. They never use it. They always okay, all right. So he must be a yogi. Because Prabhupada just felt that I'd been doubting and he turned to me like this. So it only happened twice. 2 benches, could be both benches or one of them, but definitely happened in this park. Yeah.
Aber es lebt keiner mehr, der das bestätigen könnte?
Yes, Shivananda was here, who walked with Prabhupada. He was here twice actually. He still lives in North Carolina.
So one should ask you for acceptance.
Which, yeah,
Before it's too late,
he
yeah?
said on this bench, 10-15 minutes walk. We could do Harinam on the way.
Weil das ist Vayidyanath, das
New
ist
suggestion.
das ist schon ganz schön weit auch, ne? Da laufen wir
Yeah, can you walk
20 Minuten oder so.
Yeah. Okay, good. We don't all fit into the same car. We used to do it before, of course. Now everybody is older. Huh?
No, we can do it. It's good for you. It was so nice.
Yeah, you say that on the Jamba cave all the time.
Yeah.
Sit properly.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's one of the most often.
Du filmst nicht.
The
Ich filme nicht, ach so. Nein, ich habe ausgemacht.
most often. I think. I don't think there's any instruction repeated so often except for chant Hare Krishna.
Yes, yeah.
One more time, please.
Prabhupada did not respect the red light. He would cross the road at red light. Don't imitate.
He didn't respect.
But we should never imitate the action of a great man. The bull cannot.
The what?
The bull.
The bull.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sprichst du das Lied aus?
Yeah. No. You see this high rise, Hochhaus, da. There, the devotees got an apartment for Srila Prabhupada on the 15th floor.
It's nice.
15th floor. We can count which one it is. Let's go there.
Now I know why.
Yes.
Now I know why. I used to.
This building this building is called das Hamburg Haus. Und hier haben die Devotees für Srila Prabhupada eine Wohnung gefunden im 15. Stock. Wir können das mal
15.
nachzählen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, der 15. Stock ist da oben.
English bitte.
And the 15th floor is up there. There, that's and we even went there once. There is an elevator, and this is where Srila Prabhupada stayed. And this is where he dictated the Nectar of Devotion with the tape recorder that Chandra later Bhakti Bhushan Swami had donated him. And this is also where he talked to one Sanskrit professor in Hamburg, Professor Bernhard, about Indian philosophy.
Yeah.
And this professor asked him what is the difference between Advaita Vedanta, or the impersonal school, and the Vayidyanath Vedanta, or the personal school. So there was some discussion. Prabhupada taught him, and Prabhupada got the impression that Indology in Europe was very much dominated by the Advaita aspect, or by the monistic view. They were all impersonalists in other directions. Yeah. So also there was one Samantha that Srila Prabhupada met, whom we met later. He later became a very important member of the German-Indian Association, and he also has fond memories of Srila Prabhupada. He said, yeah, I met your spiritual master in 1969.
Is he still living?
He last time I met him was over 90 years. That was in the 1990s.
So he must be gone.
Must be gone, yeah. But everybody who met Srila Prabhupada was so impressed with his personality. Like you were saying yesterday, what impressed me most with Srila Prabhupada was his warmth of character, his mercy. You were expanding Srila Prabhupada's merciful attitude, and his deep knowledge. I mean, you could talk with any Sanskrit professor or philosopher and convince him that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings were supermost, the best teachings. Yeah. So they were, like this. So I met yes. Later the movement, of course, expanded. So the beginnings were very humble, and Srila Prabhupada he stayed here. Door, but he would walk here, this way. And he would have to cross the road, careful, only don't walk with this red light, and then he was between the episode. Okay. Hamburg, Eimsbüttel is like a mediocre middle class part of town. You see, it is not very spectacular. The devotees were happy to have found one little apartment where they could do their programs. So anybody needs to sit on a bench. Anybody needs to sit on a bench. No, let's try Here you can see Christuskirche, Christ Church, where Srila Prabhupada also walked. The devotees also took. The devotees took them there. So saw this church also. Had some conversation about Christianity, and he was saying that Jesus Christ we accept as the Vaishnava also. And this is Eppendorfer Weg. You mind this name, Eppendorfer Weg. 11. This is the street where we would see the first temple on the European continent. First Hare Krishna temple on the European continent
Wow.
is in this street. Yeah.
Haribo.
Because I'm walking, maybe it's not really, like movement.
You can see which
But
is.
I said anyway.
Thank you very much.
Don't have the patience.
This is here.
Haribo. So this is the first Radha Krishna temple in Hamburg.
Haribo.
Was it the one building?
No. Only this one lower floor here. Yes. Today you can't peep into there. There were places where they had a different window you could look inside, but it's really small. It's like the format of 26 Second Avenue in New York. So it is really small, but it's the first Krishna temple on the European continent. And Srila Prabhupada came here to deliver his first classes on Bhakti Yoga.
Was it here first floor?
This very small place, yes, only this. It was an apartment for some time. Now you can see it's a psychotherapy practice.
Okay.
So it was really humble, but there were a few programs, and Srila Prabhupada celebrated Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja, and there were a few pastimes Srila Prabhupada had in Hamburg also when he walked around here. One day there was a Sperrmülltag, the day when people, they used to have that in the 60s, when people put out their own old furniture and carpets and so on that they didn't eat anymore. So Prabhupada told me these are good things. He had not been traveling so much in the West yet. He had been to the USA and not been to Europe yet. And so he said, well, get one of these cupboards, and get one of this, and get this carpet, and get. So the devotee said, yeah, but we already have all these things. So Prabhupada thought, all this wealth is just on the road for free. We should get
It's
it.
very interesting. One might said to pick from the streets
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
Very
Like
nice.
that is recommended in the Bhagavatam. You can
Yes.
get your clothes from the torn clothes you find in the street. So at least they got, I think, 2 carpets, and 1 carpet they got, and the devotees had it cleaned and they put it on the floor and looked quite good. So also Prabhupada was at Landungsbrücken. They took Srila Prabhupada to Landungsbrücken. And there is one incident where Srila Prabhupada saw a big ocean liner being pulled into the harbor by a small tugboat.
Oh,
You see that in the harbor, these big ocean liners, and there are these small ships that have strong engines. And Srila Prabhupada explains that it's just like the material energy. When we stop performing devotional service, when we turn off our engines in serving God, then automatically Maya will come and pull us.
wow.
Although the ocean liner is so much bigger than the small tugboat, so the spirit soul is so much stronger actually than the material energy because it's of a higher, superior nature. Still, when the spirit soul stops serving Krishna, then the actually lower inferior energy, which has no power, is able to take the spirit soul away and pull it into the darkest regions of ignorance.
Wow.
That was an example. Also, I read somewhere that Prabhupada saw a yogi when he was in the harbor. He turned to the devotees and said, see this light? There's a yogi traveling on the sunray.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. In Hamburg.
In Hamburg, yeah.
Oh,
Could as well be that while we are here, we are on Prabhupada's walking in Prabhupada's footsteps and remembering Prabhupada. Some yogi is traveling on a sun ray, but can you see anybody, Mondakini?
No,
That's why, because you do not have the same vision as Srila Prabhupada.
definitely not.
Yeah.
Was mit dem Teppich gibt's den noch?
No, this route later became too old, and they didn't even take it to Warterstrasse, where we are walking next. So, Prabhupada gave some important lectures here also. During the initiation ceremony, he gave a class on initiation. He said, well, now I'm initiating you into our Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, so that you can become spiritual masters later. That was his vision. So Srila Prabhupada did plan that even his Western disciples become full members of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and even take up the service of spiritual master in the disciplic succession, even at this early date.
So which year again?
That was in 1969.
69.
So Srila Prabhupada stayed from August 25 in 1969 until, very easy to remember, September 11, 1969. So that's about 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks. And September 11, very easy to remember. When Prabhupada came to London, first day he met the Beatles. And he sang to the Beatles. Prabhupada sang to the Beatles. The devotees there, Shyama Sundar and Malati and the others, Guru Das, they had Mukunda Goswami later. Kunda, they had made contact with the Beatles. The Beatles did want to see Srila Prabhupada. Why? Because they had heard a record sung by Srila Prabhupada that Shyama Sundar had sent to publish. That was published in San Francisco, USA. They had heard on such record the Hare Krishna mantra with Prabhupada singing, and they were so impressed with Srila Prabhupada's music, with Srila Prabhupada singing. They could feel that there was transcendental sound vibration.
May I ask you, was this the first encounter between the Beatles and Srila Prabhupada, where later Judge George Harrison became a devotee of the Krishna movement?
Yes, that was first in 1969, right? First encounter. Before they had heard Prabhupada's records, and Shyama Sundar, Malati, the other devotees had told them about Srila Prabhupada. They had played tapes of Srila Prabhupada, and that's the first time they actually saw him. And later that year, you also watched the installation of Radha London.
Day.
Yes.
But I didn't watch the installation.
So that was in December, I think.
14th December.
14th
69.
December. So Prabhupada came to London 11th September, then 14th December, September, October, November. 4 months later, the Radha London Ishvara were installed. At that time, they had the Bury Place temple ready, which of course was bigger than this one.
It was not bigger wide, but it was 4 floors.
Four floors, yes. When Prabhupada came here, he actually brought Radha Krishna deities. His plan was to install Radha Krishna deities in Hamburg, but when he saw this place and he learned from Shivananda, didn't know anything about deity worship, that, well, we can't do it. So he took those same deities, he took to London. These small Radha Krishna deities were installed in the place we are going next.
Oh.
And they were not the same deities that Srila Prabhupada had brought to Hamburg in August 69. But those were deities that Yamuna Devi Dasi was trained by Srila Prabhupada in painting them. Prabhupada trained Yamuna Devi Dasi in painting these deities. And they were gifted by an Indian gentleman in London. They are small size Radha Krishna deities. So in November 1969, Srila Prabhupada sent Tamal Krishna Goswami to install those deities in the place we are going next. So they were properly installed deities on the order of Srila Prabhupada, and they were installed even before Radha London Ishvara. In November, the Radha London Ishvara, where it says December, yes. Yes.
Wow.
So these are very humble beginnings. And on his visit, when Prabhupada saw this little place, Prabhupada told the devotees, you should have a temple in Hamburg bigger than the one in Los Angeles. But he also told the devotees, please try to get a bigger place. This is not a real thing. Yeah. But already in November they had a bigger place, which we are looking at now. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes. So any questions?